Good afternoon, this is Ron Brown. It's Friday, the 25th of October. There's about 45 minutes left in the trading day. I want to show you some scans that I've been working on. They've been in the my files, but I'm using an approach where I use the most active stock screens along with my contextual charts, and I'll explain that as I go along. The add-on has been updated. As a rule, as a practice, I just delete my charts and scans, or you should, the charts and warehouse scans before updating the add-on, just to make sure you're using the same files that I'm using and don't have anything overwritten. As always, the market is your teacher. Any stock index or ETF mentioned in this presentation is not a recommendation to buy or sell. All trading strategies are used at your own risk. Once again, I'm using my 3-chart setup on ultra high definition, and it seemed to work out fine last week from the people I talked to, but you really have to make sure that when you're watching these videos that you go down to the lower right corner on your YouTube channel where you're viewing and select high definition. Make sure it's a highest definition, and then you can easily read my charts and the symbols and the text. So once again, lower right corner, once you start playing, make sure you've selected the highest definition setting. Okay, this week, as I did last week, I'm using a weekly chart, and this shows the relative strength compared to the S&P 500. This chart here is my number 2A chart, and it contains the industry group, the blue line, and the green line, which shows if a stock is outperforming its industry group. If it's going up, obviously it is. Now this chart has the VPA information in it, my fans, or my moving averages, the 3, the 6, the 18, the 50, the 100, and the 200-day exponential moving averages. The 3 and the 6 crossovers are down in this window right here. I'll bring up an arrow. 3-6 crossovers, 6-18 crossovers, and 18-50 crossovers. And of course, we have the pocket pivot volume down here, and also on this chart I enlarged this to 10, or made this a 10-day window, and that way if earnings are coming up in the next 10 days you can see they'll be down here in this corner where it says E, that minus 11. What that refers to is this number right here, the current quarterly estimate. The earnings are coming up on November 5th on this stock, 11/5/24, and this current quarterly estimate is reflected down here with this box. Now when the earnings are out, you can see there's a blue indicator. It says -7. You look right here, it says -7. And then in these other windows, this is the volume point of control. Crossover from rose to green. And this is the 10-day force index, which corresponds to the 10-day volume point of control. So you can see on the volume point of control, there are some pullbacks. Didn't quite pull back enough on the 10-day force, but I just like having them both in here, just as a confirmation of strength. When the force based upon 10 days is strong, you're going to get the histogram, which is showing increased force, which is today's close minus yesterday's close times today's volume averaged over 10 periods. And for this chart over here, I'm continuing to use the Wyckoff charts that I put together showing different levels and types of accumulation or distribution if you have the supply chart up. So let's take a look at this and see what I have. What I'm using here, and these are in my favorite daily prospecting scans, which is at the top of the list. These are mostly intraday scans. So I have intraday money flow and intraday most active, undercut and rally, and so on. You can read those at your leisure. But today I'm using the most active stocks. Now the market was a lot stronger. The composite is still holding up really well, and I think a lot of that is Tesla. But the other indexes have given back a lot of what they had today. So what I'm going to do is click on the most active up, and then I'm going to show you that I am located. Let me bring that up. I have in this window over here the designer, and where I am in the designer, I am down here where it says contextual trends up and down. Now these correspond to this chart right here. So the micro trend up, you can see over here that it says micro trend, which corresponds to this folder right here, and these are updated every night when you run your updating process, or when you run the update. Let me bring this back down. So we have the micro, the short term, and the intermediate term. So that's micro, short term, and intermediate term, and then I have intermediate term trend with the fan up, or when the fan is stacked according to this order. The 200s here, the 100s here, 50s here, the 18s here. And this is the fan, these four moving averages. And then of course the 3-6 crossover, which are represented in these columns right here. Days since the 3 crossed the 6 are days down, days since the volume point of control crossed, or the days down. I use these a lot, and then the relative strength rank. So what do we have right here? These are the most active up. Now, as you can see, this stock has come from the $2 range clear up to the $8.75 range or so. If I do alternate A and click on this, I'm just going to draw this line from here to here, and you can see that the change, well, I shouldn't have done that. Let me delete that one. The change is 400% over 15 periods. So this one took off like a rocket, had a few pullback weeks, but not much, and this is where it is today. Let's look at it on the daily chart. So this was down here in the $2 area, and you can see where the crossover was right here, and then pull back here, pull back here. These are buying opportunities when these other histograms are positive, and the crossover was there, the crossover's there, and you can see that these other moving averages were not challenged. So the 3-6 pullback right there was a buy. 3-6 pullback here, right here, was a buy. So there were many opportunities to get into this stock. Now, how did I get this stock in the list? Well, I'll show you that I am scanning on the intermediate term trend up with the fan up. So bringing that back up over here, Contextual trends up. These are going to be your strongest stocks right here. The intermediate term trend with the fan up. This is intermediate term trend stocks without the fan being in place. So if I click through to that, and I'm still in most active up, all securities intraday, these are the intermediate trend stocks, and the fan is not up yet, or maybe it is by now. So let's bring this one up. Okay, I'm sorry here's the one I want. So this is the intermediate term trend up, and this is a very inexpensive stock, but you can see, well, it's pretty hard. This is not a good example. This is too compressed because of the moving average. Let's go down to the next one, see what it looks like. Okay, so this is an intermediate term trend, and you can see it here because the 6 is above the 18 beginning back here, and the 18 is above the 50. The 3 is above the 6, so all of those are positive. So it's an intermediate term trend, but it doesn't qualify for the fan being up because these moving averages are obviously not in the correct order. So here is the 200, here's the 18, here's the 100, and here's the 50. All of those would have to be stacked for this stock to be in that order. But the point of doing it this way, setting these up as contextual scans, is we know immediately if these indicators are positive. And if they're positive, it could be the beginning of a longer term move. So the buy point on this, with the 3 crossing the 6, it wouldn't be necessarily be a buy point, but it'd certainly be an early warning that the stock is beginning to move. And then you can see these blue lines, the volume pocket pivot indicators, as buyers came into this stock. Now I'm going to minimize this chart, and I'm going to look at some of the other contextual scans. So I'm still in most active up, all securities intraday, and I'll probably build on this next week. There's a lot of scans in here on the most active, but I wanted to introduce the contextual charts today. So let's look at the micro trend. There are only 6 securities right now which are showing up because the market it has pulled back some. But let's just take a look at this. Here is one Stone Co. As I look at this, you can see that the 3 crossed the 6 3 days ago, and the VPOC crossed 6 days ago. But if I bring this up, and before today, you can see that the 6 and the 18 are crossing over today, but before today or last night, the 3 had crossed the 6, and this was the beginning of a micro trend. Obviously, the trend is down on this. This is the 200, 100, 50, 18, but the 3 had crossed the 6. So this is a stock that potentially is going higher. I say potentially because there's a lot of overhead resistance here with this downtrend, but you can see there's 1, 2, 3, I'll zoom in on this, 1, 2, 3, 4 white candles here. The volume is still below average, so we're not seeing a lot of buying based upon volume yet, but it's closing at its high yesterday, and it looks like it's going to close near its high today. So there is some accumulation here. There's a low volume test here, and it's just been under accumulation. It's worth putting in a watch list, but if you do, just remember there is a lot of resistance here. The only thing that's positive is the 3 and the 6, but like I said, after today, it looks like the 6 and the 18 are going to be positive. Also, in that case, it would jump into the short-term trend up at the end of the day. So now I'm in the short-term trend up. And notice there are more stocks in here. So this one right here, and I'm not familiar with a lot of these stocks, but I'm just going to take the one on. Well, actually, let's go down to Boeing. They've had their share of problems. So I'm bringing Boeing up. And this is a short-term trend because the 3 and the 6 are positive, and the 6 and the 18 are positive, although this is losing momentum because of the gap down yesterday. So the stock does, though, fit into the category of a short-term trend up. But with all the news and so on based upon Boeing, it could be a very volatile stock. Look at all these good VPA flags before it started moving up. Here got a little overbought on this one, came down, no supply, and then a gap up, probably because of everybody thought the strike was settled, but it fits the definition of a short-term stock. Let's minimize this. Let's go to the intermediate term trend. You can see there are 37 here. Let's just count these. A micro trend, there are 6. Short-term trend, there are 18. Intermediate term trend, there are 37. And intermediate trend fan up, there are 53. These, like I said, are the strongest stocks with the fan up. But let's go back to the intermediate term trend again, and you'll see the histograms on all of these are positive. All positive, but the fan is not yet in place. This 100 has to get above the 200 here, and then the fan is in place. This is a very strong stock over the past several weeks. Let's just take a look at the weekly chart here. You can see there are several weeks of this stock being up. It's a beautiful move, the 6 above, or the 3 above the 6. And look at all of these high demand bars on this stock. This is high demand with the dark green bars. So there were Wyckoff signals, there were crossover signals. Let's just make this full screen. Going clear back here, put a crosshair on here. Whoops. Here's the effort to rise with a 3-6 crossover. You can see the histogram. So this is a stock in a downtrend. You can tell that by the moving averages with the overhead resistance. But this was a buy point with the pocket pivot volume. Then it started moving up. It had to digest the move. Little pullback here. The 3 went below the 6. And then this must have been earnings or some good news. Effort to rise, shake out. But the 3 stayed above the 6. The 6 is above the 18. And the 18 is above the 50. But the fan is not in place yet because the 100 is not above the 200. But look at this big move without the fan being in place. So the strongest on the upside is, these are the strongest stocks, intermediate trend up, fan up. And look at this stock. Look at all the demand bars, the dark green and the light green bar here means wider spread on lower volume. All accumulation bars on this stock. And the breakout clear back here. I think I looked at this one already. Let's look at a different stock. I have no idea what this one is. Actually, let's go to Freight Car America. Okay, look at this move up here. And this date was back early August, August 9th. Let's see what it looks like on the daily chart. August 12th. Well, the crossover right here is August 12th on a Monday. And this stock really has not looked back since then. You can see that the fan is in place, and it's been in place since clear back here. Here's the 200, the 100, the 50, and the 18. It's had a few pullbacks, but the pullback was to the 18. A lot of positive VPA flags. But even after this fan established itself, it was clear back here, it has gone up exponentially. Look up here at this. This is the group, the blue line, and look at the green line going up more than the blue line, which tells us that this stock has been outperforming its group. The latest buy was 5 days ago after a pullback. It was looks like about a 1 bar pullback right here on this. The 3 came down through the slicks, but there was a high volume up bar closing on the high after that, and it's moved up since. So we've got a lot of good indicators here to work with. The crossovers, the volume point of control, the pocket pivot volumes, the blue lines, the demand bars over here with the Wyckoff bars, and then just a plain weekly chart over here. So I'm not going to talk any more about this today. I'm going to cut this video a little bit short, but I want you to, if you have my files, give this a try next week. Go to the most actives and apply the most actives to these contextual trends up, and you can also do it with contextual trends down. Maybe I better run through these quickly, and then we can build on it next week. Okay, micro trend down. I changed my mind. Micro trend down. But this is a good way. I think I mentioned this last week. This is a good way to find stocks that have pulled back with the 3 down below the 6, but it may have just been a temporary pullback, and now they're going today. So most active up, so I'm using the combination of most active up, but micro trend down. So the micro trend down, as you can see, was right here, and today, this is after the pullback, and then today it's crossed over after 2 excellent VPA flags, and it's moving up. It's a $1.80 stock, but the principles are all the same. Let's look at this one. That's a $1.41 stock. Let's find something a little more expensive. I don't think $2.91 is necessary. How about Boyd? Must have been earnings day today. The weekly trend is up. This was down. You can see that right here. And today it's up. I imagine earnings probably came out today. Well, or recently. The next earnings date is the 13th of February. There's news on it, though. I'm not going to take the time to look. Anyway, all of these are micro trend down with most active up. It's a good combination to find stocks that, like I said, are with the 3 below the 6, as you can see in this column, but are seeing buying today. I'm going to end the video right now. I'll continue with this next week. I'll bring some other scans up here into the most active list and show you what I've been working on. Thanks for listening and have a good weekend.